Hello, Chuck King here. I'm just taking a photograph of my garden. I rototilled my sod in the backyard. I had patched it over several years, many of which I replaced with sod. Other times I seeded and I partitioned it off to keep my dogs out of the new grass. But over the years it became uneven and it was growing in clusters and also had a lot of crabgrass in it. So I used a small electric tiller, which is not recommended. I left a patch in the middle for my dogs to go to the bathroom, and I rototilled 2/3 or more of my yard, grinding in the pine needles, grinding in the leaves of the trees that had dropped at that point. Notice that the mountain ash still hasn't dropped its leaves. But basically, that led me to breaking up leaves in the front as well. And the ash or elm trees, I'm not sure which, in the front dropped 13 bags of leaves. I gave 3 to my neighbor and I left 6 out for the city to pick up in their first pickup of the year. And that got me thinking that I should do like my neighbor who took the 3 bags and compost. So I looked into the composting equipment available and I came up with the EnviroCycle. And that is excellent for composting household waste, and just put it in there and tumble it around and add some of the leaves that I have for the brown material, the green material being the household waste, and some of the grass, although by the time I had the idea, grass growing season was over. Then I realized from reading articles and viewing YouTube videos that you would need some additional composters, so I got a couple of earth machines, and I got these at a very reasonable price from a lady on Kijiji, as I did with the tumbler. And basically using these now to take the material that I had in surplus and mixing in this container the brown leaves with the peat moss and sod that had been previously rototilled, and some of the leaves that have dropped off some of the bushes and trees in the back, a lilac tree there and a couple of bur oak trees. And basically from that I layered the leaves and the peat moss mixture in one of the earth machines. It was full to the top, and now it is basically down about halfway, and that's just, I just added some water today. Line up with the arrow here and it lifts off. And it looks difficult when you're trying to use one hand. As you can see, I had this filled to the top with leaves and it settled down considerably. Now, I hadn't mulched any of these leaves, so they're put in whole, so I expect it'll take the better part of the winter, it being the beginning of November now. So I took advantage of the opportunity to add the last bit of water. I may not be able to do so after freezing starts. And in this machine, earth machine, I've been adding a mixture of household waste with the leaves, and you can see that's down considerably. It was more than halfway full when I started, and that's dropped down a lot. I have shoveled away from the vents so that there's air getting into the compost as well. So that's what we have going on there. Now I've gone with putting in some shredded paper as well as the household waste, and as you can see, it's mixed up quite well with the leaves, and you see that it's quite moist now, spongy as they say, and it should be adequate for getting compost material. What I plan to do with this composted material in the spring is to spread it out over my backyard lawn, and then I'm going to get some topsoil and that over top. And as you know, the rototilled sod that I put in also allows for some mulch material, and it helps to amend the clay soil that I had here before. Now the clay soil was amended. I put in a bag of sand and a couple of 3.8 cubic feet bags of peat moss, as well as some dolomite, a bag of dolomite on this side. Now, after reading up on it, I'm not sure that I need the dolomite in the sand. There's some issues with the sand as well in getting too much runoff, and our lot happens to be a drainage lot along with the lot beside me for the draining of the rainwater and the melt of snow in the spring. So basically what I'm going to do is to take this material, add it to the composted sod, which is composted naturally. You would hardly know that there was sod tilled into this soil now. You barely see any of the grass on the surface of the tilled lawn. There's no longer any lawn material apparent. There's some leaves and pine needles that have blown in, and I'm just going to leave those for now and let those naturally compost over the winter, and basically add the mulch material on top. And then what I'm going to do is add topsoil on top of that. So hopefully this is my first video posted on YouTube, so I apologize for the jerkiness. This is just a handheld iPad, and if this takes off, I get maybe a few views, I can invest in some more steady camera equipment. All right, that's cheers from Chuck King.